Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. We're going to talk about guys that I think the Saints should sign or consider signing, in free agency right now. The Saints obviously going through the draft, fill some needs on the defensive line, got another receiver, got a quarterback, got a running back, but I still think this roster still needs some depth, still needs some competition at some positions, and we're going to start off with Leonard Floyd. Now, Leonard Floyd, the last 3 seasons, has had really, really good seasons with the Rams, had 10.5 sacks, 9.5 sacks, and 9 sacks his last 3 seasons, man. That's 30 sacks, basically almost 30 sacks in the last 3 years, almost 10 sacks a year. You can't ask for anything more out of an edge rusher. He's still not signed, about 30 years old. Really, really good player. The Saints could use some, depth on that edge. Obviously, we got Isaiah Foskey, we got Cam Jordan, we got some other guys, Carl Granderson. But I still think that edge can use some help, just because outside of Cam Jordan, nobody's proven. I mean, Peyton Turner, Carl Granderson, you kind of know what you got with that. Isaiah Foskey still a rookie. You got Tano. But Leonard Floyd, you know what you're getting out of him. He's played every snap the last 5 seasons. That's something that, the Saints really didn't get from anyone. Cam Jordan's been the most reliable on that defense. Him, DeMario Davis, they've been healthy. But, Leonard Floyd, he's played every last snap. Not every last snap, every last game over the last 5 seasons. And that's super, super big. Someone that can come in, play every game, be healthy. The Saints have been missing that for a long, long time. Does he fit in with the Saints? So that's going to be the only problem. He's really a 3-4 outside linebacker, but at this point, man, the Saints need good players. You need guys that are going to be able to rush the passer, and if it's just on a third down basis, they'll play him. Obviously, no player wants to really accept that role, especially when they still think they can play. So does he really fit with the Saints? Probably not. Saints run a 4-3. He's more of a 3-4 linebacker. And is he gonna want some money? He's got some paydays, in his career. He's getting to that age where players start to, make decisions. And I don't blame a player for making any decision. You're either gonna start taking some money and getting that retirement fund going, or you want to start to win. You might take a little pay cut. You could probably get more from a lesser team, and you may want to start winning. I don't know if they feel like the Saints are puts him in the best position to win, but I think Leonard Floyd would be a great pickup for the Saints. Like I said, he doesn't really fit our scheme, our style, but man, he's a really, really good football player, and we'll see. Another guy I got, Frank Clark. Now this guy fits our build much more. He's a 4-3 defensive end, in my opinion. Was really, really good in Seattle, man. Had 10 sacks, 9 sacks, and 13 sacks when he was in Seattle. He was 22 years old and then finished at 24 years old. And after that, obviously, if you have that many sacks in 3 years as a defensive end at that age, at 24 years old, you're going to get a huge payday. And that's what the Chiefs did. They gave him, I think, 5 years, $105 million, 62 plus guaranteed. And honestly, he probably didn't live up to that contract. With the Chiefs, he only had, for 5 years, he was there 8 sacks, which is solid first year, 6 sacks, 4.5 sacks, 5 sacks. End up only making it 4 years with the Chiefs, but solid production. Showed up in the playoff form, time in and time out. Was definitely offsides and gave the Patriots a Super Bowl, but that's neither here nor there. But still would be a solid player. Now, this is a guy that probably won't even be looking for money. I don't know him personally, so I'm not counting his pockets, but a guy that got maybe over $80 million guaranteed already in his career. Maybe he's just looking, for somewhere to settle down, become a valuable pass rusher to a team, because I think at this point in his career, that's what he's going to be. He's probably not going to be an every down player. He's probably going to be a pass rush specialist, and I think the Saints could, look into that and see what happens. I think Frank Clark is a really, really good player, and the Saints should definitely, look into him. Really just an edge rusher. Obviously, the first 2 guys, Leonard Floyd, Frank Clark, both have been edge rushers. Like I said, I don't think we're really, really proven there. And I would like, for the Saints to look into those. Next up, now this one's probably going to catch a lot of y'all by surprise. A lot of people might not even agree with this, and I don't even know if I agree with it. But, if you look at that Saints receiving depth chart, we've been talking about it. They're deep. They're really, really deep with Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, A.T. Perry, Traquan Smith, Brian Edwards, so on and so forth, Shaq Davis. I think we bring in one more. And now this one right here, I'm going to just go on and say it. Do I think this will work out? No. Will it cost us, real money? Absolutely not, because this guy's probably out of the league if the Saints don't pick him up or somebody don't pick him up. But I do think this would be a good training camp invite, because it's no risk at all. No risk, and maybe you get some reward. And this guy is no other than Kenny Golladay. I know, sounds crazy, but him with the Giants, we can all agree, awful. god awful. Got a payday. Did absolutely dog shit with the Giants. It just is what it is. You can't sugarcoat that. He just wasn't good with the Giants. Awful, awful, awful. But you just can't ignore it. God, what, 28, 29, I believe, man. With the Lions, 70 catches, over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then 65 catches, 1,200 yards, and 11 touchdowns, back-to-back seasons. It's something in there. I don't know what happened with the Giants. I don't know if it was going from the dome to the cold weather. I don't know what it was, but he was absolutely awful with the Giants. But hey, why not just bring him in? Bring him in, see what he has. If he doesn't make it through camp, oh well. Like I said, it's not going to cost you anything to bring in a guy. We're deep at receiver, so I doubt they'll do it. But if you brought him in, very, very low risk. No risk, really. It's not even low risk because it's no risk. It's no risk to bring a guy in just for training camp, see what he has. He doesn't have anything, go on. Go on about your business. That's okay with me. We kind of did it with David Johnson, even though he somehow got into football games. Hey, bring a guy in that's probably a little over the hill, a guy that used to be really, really good. Come in, see what he has. If he doesn't have it, you can, let him go. I think some injuries and some things, led to David Johnson playing. I don't think that would happen with Kenny Golladay. But, hey, man, you never know. With the injury history of Michael Thomas at this point, you have to take that in consideration. And really, outside of Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, no one else on that team is proven. So you can bring in a guy that's, I wouldn't say he's proven. He was proven, but a guy that's, trying to make his name back in the NFL, trying to get back. I'm sure he's motivated after leaving New York. I'm sure he thinks he still has something in the tank. Hey, why not come into camp, compete a little bit? If you don't make the team, hey, you don't make the team. At least I think it'll be worth giving him a shot. Giving him a shot. Like I said, it's not going to cost anything. If it doesn't work out, who's going to care? Who's going to care? Now, this last position, I won't say it's a need, but it's a depth need. I was going to throw some offensive linemen in here, but I think if you can always add offensive linemen. So I really just ignored the offensive line position. I wanted to just touch on basically one more receiver, edge rushers. That's going to be huge. It's some defensive tackles that I think that we can probably address, maybe some backups. Obviously, we signed a couple in free agency, first-round pick Brian Bresee. We also drafted at the defensive tackle position. So I kind of left them out. I will mention a couple guys at the end. But the cornerback position. If you look at our depth chart for the cornerback position, obviously you have Marshawn Lattimore, cornerback 1. Now, cornerback 2, that's still up for debate. That's either going to be Paulson Adebo, can he bounce back, or it's going to be Alontae Taylor, who had a really good rookie season, even though he didn't play that much. But when he did play, he was really, really good out there. Now, after that, you have Bradley Roby as your number 4 guy. You signed Lonnie Johnson. You signed Isaac Yiadom. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But you got those guys, and I think we can bring in another guy at that cornerback position, just to compete. Like I said, just to compete for that 4, that 5, that role, because Bradley Roby probably has 4. Lonnie Johnson probably has that 5th cornerback locked up right now. But I think you could bring in a guy like Byron Jones, a guy that's been in the league for a minute, that's been good in his league. You can bring a guy like Artie Burns, who was a high draft pick from the Pittsburgh Steelers from Miami. A guy like Anthony Brown, who had some success with the Cowboys. So it's a couple corners out there that you could bring in. Compete for the number 4 spot, compete for the number 5 spot, maybe make a special team spot. I think that'll be a good addition to this team if you could bring guys like that in just to compete. Just to compete, man. Like I said, this is training camp. This is mini camp. It's about to start rolling around. You need guys on the roster that will compete for a spot. Don't know if the Saints will do any of those things, but I do think the Saints need to do some of those things. Also, running back position. I think we should bring in a 4th running back, a guy that could kind of play special teams. Because obviously we got Kamara, we got Jamal Williams, we got Kendre Miller. Those are going to be the 3 guys. But you got Dwayne Washington. I think he needs some competition. I don't know who you'll bring in, because not really too many running backs can play that special teams role, especially with the running backs, in free agency right now. If you just look at the list, you got guys like Leonard Fournette, obviously not going to play special teams. Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, none of those guys are going to play special teams. So it's going to be hard to find a guy that's going to be, a running back that's going to be able to play special teams and things like that. But I do think Dwayne Washington, do need some competition. Also, the defensive lineman, defensive tackle, you got Matt Ioannidis. I think he will be good on the defensive line. Chris Wormley, I'm just looking at the list right now. And Ndamukong Suh, obviously. Akeem Hicks, that'll be a very interesting one. Used to play for the Saints. I think the guy's absolutely clinically insane. He probably needs to be in an institute somewhere, because the guy's crazy. But he's a really good football player. I wouldn't be surprised, if the Saints gave him a look to beef up that interior just to get some depth. And like I said, linemen are always welcome. Oh, I'm looking at this list for cornerbacks. I see a guy named Eli Apple. Keep him far away from my team. Thank you. And that's really about it. No one else on this list I think we should really go at. Maybe linebackers. I ignored the linebacker position. I shouldn't have ignored the linebacker position, but I do think the linebacker need to be addressed. Let me just kind of go through this list real quick, and I'll talk about some of these linebackers, like true linebackers, not like Leonard Floyd, a guy that's going to be on the edge and things like that. But some solid linebackers out there. Rashaan Evans, obviously you got Quan Alexander, who's a fan favorite. I wouldn't be mad if we brought him back as a backup role. Zach Cunningham, who's been solid in this league. I can see us doing that as well. So linebackers, I can see us going after them. Definitely edge rusher, maybe defensive tackle, maybe another corner just to compete. But the Saints have options. And also, if the Saints don't do any of these things, that's also okay. The team is really, really good right now. But I do think, a couple guys here or there to shake it up. It's training camp. Guys are going to be coming in and out. You got a 90-man roster. They're probably going to keep it around 87 just so they can bring guys in, bring guys out. Some of these guys are going to come in probably once or twice, maybe even 3 times throughout, now all the way until the end of preseason. So guys are going to get their chance. And they got to make the most of it. But I do think we need to bring in a couple more guys. We'll see, because we have 3 kickers on the roster right now. 3 kickers aren't going to be on the roster. So once one of those guys get cut, they're going to bring in somebody else. Maybe, 2 kickers start missing. They'll rotate those 2 out and maybe bring in some more. Like, it's just going to be a lot of moving pieces for training camp, for mini camp, for the preseason. And these are just some guys. I don't know what the money's going to look like for these guys. I'm sure Leonard Floyd and Frank Clark, they won't come in on a tryout basis. These other guys, some of the other guys I named, some of the linebackers, Kenny Golladay, some of those cornerbacks, they'll definitely come in, on a non-guaranteed tryout-based deal. I think Frank Clark and Leonard Floyd, they're just looking for a right home. And also, if they came in, I wouldn't want them on a tryout base. You would want them to be on your roster. So, let me know. Anybody I missed, anybody I think, we should consider just for no reason. Hunter Renfrow is a name that people have been throwing out, but he's not a free agent. I'll just throw it out there. He's not a free agent. I think the Raiders still have his rights. I think he's still under contract. They're probably looking to trade him, and it makes no sense for the Saints to trade for another receiver with the receiver depth that we have right now as it is. So let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Who should we look for in this free agency? If you think we're set, hey, then we're set. Thank y'all for tuning in once again, man. As always, it's the Boo Tragedies, and I'm out.
So one last time, let's make